Good afternoon, Facebook REI audience. Kent Clothier here this afternoon. Now, normally this would be live, but because of some technical difficulties, we're recording this and we're going to put it on our site here in just a couple of minutes, but it's a Wednesday afternoon, a little after 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. I have Bob Tierney in North Carolina, longtime REI customer, and I have Lois Hershey in Pennsylvania, longtime REI customer. So we're going to spend a few minutes talking to these great people today, been a longtime clients of ours, and talk to them about their experiences, not only with us, but in the real estate business. So let me go first, if I can, to get them to talk a little bit about themselves and tell us about their background, and then take a few minutes and talk about their experiences. So Lois, let me go to you first, if you don't mind, and tell our listeners about how your experiences have been in real estate and maybe with us, and anything about yourself. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I am a nurse for 37 years. And I absolutely love my job. So my interest in real estate was really just to be like a side thing at the beginning. And when I first became interested, I was the director of a cath lab in Houston and didn't have time to pursue that. So I moved to York, Pennsylvania to take care of my widowed mom. And working 312s, I'm like, now I can pursue my my dream to become a real estate investor. So my story before REI Nation, and I have to tell my backstory because that's very important. I actually partnered starting in 2007, a year after I moved here. I partnered with two other companies, of course, one at a time. The first one was very unsuccessful. I spent $25,000. I was the star student. I actually advanced my credit card to the limit that they told me to, during the seminar. And of course, I found out later that's how I could put the $25,000 package on my credit card. But I got a little prize for that. So that whole scenario, I actually had someone fly out for a 3-day weekend to tell me, how to be there. I was in the inner circle because I paid more money for that, how to, of course, make that happen. So that was an epic fail. I had the magnets on my car. I had the hand painted signs because that's sold more real estate. Went to the courthouse. I'm very unsuccessful. So then another company, quote, came into town, or quote, across my computer, partnered with them, spent another $25,000, and that was equally a disaster. So I almost gave up on my dream. And once you start linking onto these emails, you get a barrage of emails, and I usually would hit delete. And an email actually picked my interest, and it happened to be Memphis Invest. I don't know why I arrowed in, I should say. So, and that was in 2012. And they were actually getting ready to have one of their seminars in April of that year. So I flew down to Memphis and for this 3-day seminar, I think it was. And I met Ashley Clonch, and I kept on telling myself she's a pastor's wife. She's not going to steer me wrong. And the entire time during the seminar, I could just tell that this was like the legit thing, the real thing with me. So I bought 2 houses. I was so excited, but then I kind of was like, I better just do one at a time, which is what I did. So I'm now 10 houses strong, and I'm telling you, it's the best thing ever. Actually, I had a 45-minute conversation this morning with a potential customer because I get a lot of referrals from the sales group. And the guy's name was Mahesh, and he was calling from Ohio. I kind of told him my story. I told him to take the photo plunge. I told him how I pick a house is eeny, meeny, miny, mo. If REI Nations has done all their due diligence, as a nurse, I'm not going to kind of micromanage what they do. I love the turnkey options. I tell everybody that calls me, and legit, I probably talk to probably 5 potential customers a month for at least 45 minutes to tell them my story. And I tell them, you have to do the ESBI quadrant. You have to shift your thinking. You have to sometimes pretend it's play money because that's what an investor does at times. And I've never been disappointed. And I always tell them, your house is probably going to be rented before you even close. I had one guy call me a month ago, or send me a text actually, and say that's exactly what happened. Everything I said happened just like clockwork. So with my 10th house, which I bought about a month and a half ago, I sent a text to Ashley and I said, I'm ready to buy a house. And within a short amount of time, it was a done deal. So that's my story. I love you guys. I know you shouldn't mix religion and politics, but I pray for you guys every day by name. And I don't know if I should do this or not, but this is like the little book, that we have sent out. And I think the thing that makes this company stand apart, because I could give you personal stories of friends that I work with, nurse friends and CRNAs who've invested their life income to investments, and they're probably going to be working till they're 95 because it was an epic fail. But I'm a Mennonite's daughter, and probably nobody knows what that is. But I was raised with very strong work ethics. You work very hard. You play a little bit. You work harder. Just kidding. But anyway, so the thing I like about Kent and his team is their work ethic. So I don't know if you can see these core values or these 0 things that take no talent whatsoever, which is a good thing to pass on to my kids. I just think the core and the essence of who this team is, starting with Kent and trickling down to his sons. Cindy calls me faithfully every month. The 2 Ashleys, they were my salespeople from the property management group. I am not lying when I say I walk around the hospital with my phone in my pocket on vibrate. Of course, I have to. I might be going to an emergency call, and I get a little vibrate when I have time to check. It's like, oh, that tenant from so-and-so just deposited money in the account. Through COVID, I've been very blessed to say that I didn't have any issues with any rents. They still kept coming in. I can only speak from my experience, but I think with 10 houses deep, I think I can speak to how the company is, and the fact that I get paid nothing to say any of these things to any of the people that call me. I just love to tell my story because I wish more people would know what a wonderful company it is. So
Wow.
That's my story.
Lawson, I didn't pay you to say any of that, right?
No, you didn't. No, I legit, if you could have recorded my conversation with Mahesh this morning, it's the same thing I said to him with a little bit more detail because I want to be cognizant of time here, but because I could probably ramble on and on. But I don't know. I can't say enough about it. I was very disillusioned before. I actually tried real estate investing on my own up here in the north. I did invested with a partner who was an agent, and I had the money from a 401k that I converted to checkbook control. Very unsuccessful. 7 houses, I think I made money on one house, 25,000. We had to split it because that's how it worked. I lost like $60,000. So I lost a lot of money over time, and I had to just pretend like it was monopoly money or I would have freaked out. But I didn't want to give up on my dream. I'm so glad I didn't give up on my dream. I keep on saying Memphis Invest, but I love REI Nation. And I really can't. I know it sounds crazy, but I can't say enough good things about anybody on the team, the whole everything, the whole package. So
Thank you. Let me go. Bob?
Wow.
I don't know where you go from here.
That's like impossible to follow. I mean, wow.
I do have one quick little thing real quick. Sorry, Bob.
Okay.
I was at one of the seminars, and I had just purchased my 4th house. And in my brain, I thought that when you had 4 houses, you were in the WOW Club, because you got to sit at the front of the seminar, you got linen napkins, you got a special seat, you got fancy, tablecloth. So I'm all proud, and I'm like, oh my God, pinch me. I can't believe I'm here. So the ladies never had the heart to tell me that you have to have 5 houses, not 4. They marched me to the front and allowed me to sit in the front row. So I was queen for the day.
It's just the little things, right, Lois? It's just the little things.
Well,
Bob, take that run.
I think she likes the fact that she was a WOW. She played WOW for a day. Now my story is a little more boring. I worked for IBM for 35 years, and in my last, in year 34 and a half, I decided, I was getting ready to retire in 18 months, and I started looking at, and real estate has always been my second career, but I had a real estate license I got in 1997, but never did anything with it, so it's sitting there ready to activate. But I went and spent money too, like you did, Lois, on education in real estate investing, and at the time, Memphis Invest was at all their seminars, and the company I used, I actually had a really good experience because it taught me how to flip homes, and it taught me also, and then I ventured into new construction. But at the end of the day, I searched this thing out while I was still working, and then I got retired. They forced me to retire. So then, at that point in time, it gave me access to my 401k with my IBM 401k. And I'd worked with Amanda Holbrook for almost 6 months, and God bless her, she educated me, and I was patient with me. And then as soon as I retired, 2 months later, I did a big rollover from my IBM 401k into a self-directed 401k with my company, and I bought my first 4 houses at one time. And I drove to Memphis, met with Amanda and company, and I actually got to see the houses. And I sat down there in their back room and signed the contracts for 4 houses at once. And again, I knew nothing about real estate investing 6 months before. So this was a huge leap of faith for me because it's out of state. I didn't really know what I was getting into. I learned a lot. And then I just, again, the core values, and, you know, it's a vibe I got from them day one when I met everybody. And they walk the talk. They do what they say they're going to do, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So, I mean, I've got 5 houses. I bought 4 in the first year, and then year 2 I bought a 5th one. And Kent, I finally figured out now how I can expand this and go to 10, which I think is the ideal thing. Because right now, my retirement, I haven't even tapped into the income that all these houses are producing. I'm just squirreling it away. And this whole experience, and I do this all lights out, hands off. And Cindy calls me. She just called me this morning, actually. So, and God, she's a godsend too. So I mean, I can't tell you how much. And I've recommended them, and I got my brother in, you know, to buy. He's bought 4 houses now too. So, and believe me, he's the type of person that is ultra conservative, and he's not a risk taker. So if you look at it, to get him in and to do this, I mean, it just says a lot about the level of service that the Clothier family and their whole organization do day in and day out.
Well, thank you. Let me thank you both of you for the comments. And again, I'm going to say again to all of our listeners, we have 2 experienced investors on the call, Bob and Lois, and they're talking to us about their how they got started in business and with us. But let me ask a question here. What do you think? What is the biggest reason why you enjoy working with REI today? What is the biggest reason? Lois?
Legit. I took a lot of my tips from Paul Shively. He kind of partners with you guys. I'm sure he still does. But anyway, because I met him the first time at the first seminar, so I kind of tailored the way I do the business after him. And the biggest thing with me is my mom, who was, like I said, widowed. She moved in with us 8 years ago, so her care increased over time. So I had to streamline everything. So I can take care of now 10 houses. With not even 10 minutes of my time per month, because everything is completely automatic. The rents come in, the mortgage goes out, everything is automatic. So to me, that's a huge key, because I'm very, very time oriented. Like, I couldn't even sit still for the 15 minutes waiting for the login versus the time, you know, it's just the way I'm hardwired, because of, I'm sure being a Mennonite's daughter. But so to me, that is such a key to me. To me, it takes probably more time to run my household than it does to run 10 properties.
Wow. Bob, what do you think?
It's lights out, hands off. And, you know, I thought it was going to be too good to be true. And it actually is true. And I will tell you, I've got opportunities to invest in homes at home here in North Carolina, and I just refuse to do it because I don't want to be a landlord. And I just helped a family member sell 3 rental properties because they're in their 70s and they're too old. They can't handle it. They're self-property managing it. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to be lights off. And like you say, I don't have to worry about my houses right now with you guys. And that's the biggest thing. I can sleep at night. I don't have to worry about anything. And that's why I'm going to continue on this track. And, you know, all the stories, you know, I hear a lot of horror stories, but I always tell a great story for you guys. And it sounds like if you know Paul, I know Paul Shively too. So it sounds like we're aligned with the right companies.
Well, let me thank you again. Let me ask you a question. And there's going to be some new real estate investors on here that listen to this and considering getting into turnkey or passive real estate. What advice would you give a new person that's listening to you guys talk? What advice, Bob, let me start with you. What advice would you give to a new person today that's listening to this?
You got to, trust your knowledge and your people. And when I got in, I didn't want to just buy one. I wanted to buy multiples because there's power in numbers and you can pool resources. Again, I took 6 months, but when I took the leap, I took a big leap. And a lot of times I was very cautious, but I did the education and took the leap. And I investigated you guys out, and everything is good. And I don't hear anybody saying anything negative about your company. You guys do a great job. So I'd say give them a shot.
Bob, who do you work with here at our company? Your portfolio advisor is who?
Oh, Ashley Tinker, or what's her?
Ashley Conch or?
Ashley I know her as Tinker, but she got married, so I can never remember that. Is it Clunch?
I think it's that. I think it's one of the. We got two Ashleys.
I know you got two Ashleys, but I call Cindy. I mean, or Cindy calls me. I mean, that's all.
So it's not Mark Cobb, and it's not.
I've had a couple conversations with Mark, but nah. But I can call Mark. Mark knows me.
All right, so Cindy is your customer service.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very
priceless. Good. Don't ever take her off my account.
Well, we have, just on a side note, before we go to Lowe's, we have seven ladies in that department. We started with 2, and today they handle 6,000 properties with 2,000 investors today.
Wow.
Cindy and Carrie handle our WOW customers and talking to them once a month. And my whole mantra from the day one is that I wanted to have service at the highest level where you guys and all the rest of our clients never had to worry about their client, never had to worry about their properties. You got boots on the ground here. We're taking care of it, toilets and all that stuff. We're handling it for you. And that's what I wanted to do. But I wanted to have somebody, because I'd heard horror stories in the property management business, and where they could never get a hold of anybody. Nobody would ever return their calls. They didn't know what was going on with their properties. They would go days, couldn't find out about their money or anything. And so I took all the negative stuff that I heard about property management and tried to flip that to where have a model where people would have a great experience. They refer us to other people, which you guys have done. They would, again, like I tell people, we're not perfect. We make mistakes, and we have things that we got to do to improve. We're probably 97, 98%, but I'm always chasing that 2 to 3% on what we can do to make it even better. But Lois, what advice would you give a new passive or a new investor thinking about getting into the turnkey space? What advice would you give them today?
Well, first of all, just having tried it on my own very unsuccessfully, and I think because I tend to believe people. So I would do the lease option to buy, and one in particular, she was a nurse, so we had a little camaraderie there. She had CMO, which is cardiomyopathy, after she had her kid. It was induced by her being pregnant. So I'm like, if I can get her credit repaired, she can buy this house and life is good. Instead, she turned to drugs because I guess it was overwhelming, and of course couldn't pay the rent. And so that was, 6 months. It was just one of those disasters. So I think, having someone, and I also used to paint houses till 10 o'clock at night in the middle of a snowstorm. And I'm like, what am I doing? Because obviously I make more as a nurse than a painter. All due respect to everybody. But I think because the team here values everybody. We've heard the stories where a CEO of a company will dress up as a housekeeper and everybody greets them differently just because of the outfit they wear. But I think with REI Nation, the tenants are valued. The property management group is valued. The team of the WOW group, and the Cindys that are in charge of the WOW group, they're valued. Everybody is valued because every piece of the pie is equal. And then I have people who say, well, I could do it with, for less money. And the people that call me that are interested in REI Nation, I always tell them do it. I mean, because you may make more money. I think, Kent, your MO is everybody gets a piece of the pie. So it's not, everybody has to make money or REI Nation couldn't keep their doors open. And to me, I make money. I have my little, vibration in my pocket going off all the time by the money that's coming in. And like Bob, I'm not using any of it now. I have one of my sons, they're going to go into ministry, and that's a low-paid job, as Ashley Clunch can tell you, I'm sure, being a pastor's wife. And it's all about making sure the kids are off the street and, not doing drugs, that type of thing. He has a real passion for that. So this is generational wealth for me. I really feel convinced that when you are able to sustain your life and reach out and bless others, that's what life is all about. So I just think taking the plunge, you got to do it. You have to realize that. We're here speaking from our heart. We're here saying the experience that we have. And again, I say 10 houses deep. It can't just be a hoax. I mean, it just can't be. It just happens by chance. So.
Well, thank you. And I talked about this. And of course, today we're doing these kind of calls because obviously we can't get out there and do what we did before. So we have to take the audience, and we have to go to the audience through Zoom here. But you brought up a really big point that we always talk about, the 4 groups of people that we serve: the residents, our employees, our investors, and our vendors. And I talk about this all the time, that we can make all 4 groups of those people successful, and we can treat all 4 groups of those people like we want to be treated. You got a pretty good business. And that's what we drilled out on that all the time, because it's so important to treat people. And we talk about, we get asked all the time from investors about, well, your houses are a little high. Yeah, they are. Your property management, I can get better property management. Well, go get it. Go do that.
That's what I say. Yeah.
And we talk about
you can get better property management.
Talk about the value that we try to bring. And I got asked, and this has probably been 7 or 8 years ago, and I'll never will forget it, out in San Jose. And I was at an event out there, and we must have had 150 people in the room and somebody in the back. And San Jose has a lot of really, really smart people out there that are very analytical and look at all the numbers and dig into everything. And the guy asked me in the back of the room, he says, how much money do you make on these houses? And I still say it today, all that I can, because I am in business to make money. And then one of the other people in the groups stood up and said, I just want to say that that's what I want to hear, because I don't want a company that's not making money to be managed. I want a company that's going to be here for a long time. Now, we've been here 17 years. And do we make a profit? We certainly do. Am I going to apologize for that? Never. Do we try to bring an experience to our 2,000 investors that's good for them and good for us? Yeah. And that's the whole idea. And I've talked to entrepreneurs and business owners around the country about that philosophy that I have of doing the right thing and treating people the right way. And I bring it all the way back around every time to customer service. And today, I often tell people that pre-COVID, that if I was going to open a restaurant up and you called for a reservation and I had your name and number and all the very next day I would be calling you, or somebody on my team would be calling you to see how that experience was in our restaurant last night and what we can do better. And then people tell everybody about that, because at our events before, we would have people up that would ask questions to us on the stage and said, do they really do all of this stuff that they say they're going to do? Sounds too good to be true.
Amen.
17 years later, okay? And we had people stood up in the room and said, there's no way they can call every customer. There's no way all this stuff is true. And all of these testimonials that we have on all these recordings and what you guys say, it just validates that it can be done. If a business wants to do those type of things, it can be done. And I'll just take for a second and go back on the COVID thing, because on March 16th, I think, is when all what broke loose here. And we brought all of our executives in, and we got a plan together on what we were going to do on COVID and collections. And we took our 8 most experienced people in the company, and we put them talking to our investors every day about making arrangements to pay. And consequently, we've been up in the high 90s every single month so far. But other companies I hear are not having that type of success. But we went into war room mode that day and reported and continue to have good success. And we're still doing that today. But let me ask a couple let me see if there's any questions that you guys wanted to ask me about the real estate business or REI or Premier or property management or anything that's on your mind. You guys have done a really good job. We've been on here about 25 minutes, but what's on your mind today?
I have something to say. So I think a couple years ago, Ken, you told Ashley's story, Ashley Klotz. So I feel like I can say this without, being too inappropriate, of course. Which, by the way, I love both the Ashleys. I worked with both of them. And it's actually Tinker was her married name. But anyway, so Ashley, when I met her, I mentioned she was a pastor's wife. And as far as I know, her story was that she came to you looking for a job as a secretary. She wanted to supplement her husband's income. And you tore up her resume and you said, I don't care what you know, I care who you are. And so it goes back to the mantra that you can probably teach anybody how to do anything, but you can't teach people the core and the essence of who they are. So then you kind of told her story, and I don't know that you exactly told her salary, but you alluded to how much she was making as a sales rep. And it was more than I make as a nurse. Not that I care or was jealous, because kudos to her. I actually wanted to quit my job and come work for you. I'm kidding.
Anytime.
Anytime. But, I think that speaks very highly because, okay, so then at one of the events that we had, she had just bought that Mustang. I talked to her about a month ago about it when I said I want to buy another house. But anyway, got in the car to go because you guys were taking us out to eat at this fancy restaurant. And that car lit up like neon lights, like it went through like, I don't know, I'm just going to say 50 different shades of whatever, neons, colors here, there, whatever. And she had to make sure she didn't hit your car, by the way. It's parked next to her Mustang. But my point being, you know, you don't want to have like a broken down house and say, I'll have what she's having when Harry met Sally, right? You have to, it's like you said, you have to speak it, you have to think it, you have to produce. And one of your values, I'm just going to maybe, you know, I'm not looking at the book right now, but you always under promise and you always over deliver. So, you know, I have never seen any of my houses, and I don't care if I ever do, because that's not important to me. I've been to Memphis probably 6 times. We even went there on vacation a couple of years ago. Never once drove by any of my houses. That's not important to me. You guys know the insides and outs. You guys use the same paint color, the same tile. The black is on every shutter, blah, blah, blah. That's all I care about. You guys make it look good, and you do the rental mentality. I don't know. I just, anyway, that's what's on my mind.
Well, Ashley Clonch and Ashley Tinker and all of the people that work for our company, we have 90 of the greatest people that you could ever hire. And we're very, very, the person sitting right here beside me that y'all don't see behind the scenes, Brian Woolbright, it's a lady, by the way, is in on all of our hiring. And we average people cannot work for our company. We have to
I agree.
Amen to that.
Because the standards and the expectations are so high that, and our leadership, we have a great executive team. My 2 sons both are involved, and Ken in San Diego, but we're looking for the special kind of person. And when Ashley Clonch came in, and then Ashley Tinker after her, Ashley Clonch actually brought Ashley Tinker in. Ashley worked outside my office for a while doing administrative stuff, and then we saw something in her, and she actually came in to my office and worked probably 6 foot away from me over here for about a year as we got into understanding the process of how to work with people and how to have all the ingredients of being a great portfolio advisor, which she has. She has really today sold thousands and thousands of houses, has hundreds and hundreds of clients. She is awesome. She is a preacher's wife. She has children. She has the mother duties and her job and being a preacher's wife and of course, all that comes along with that at the church. So she does an outstanding job for us. And I just hope, I think her and I hopefully will be together for a long, long time. And but we're very lucky to have her and all the great team members that we have. But Bob, did you have something you want to ask me or talk about or bring up?
Yeah, I want to, you know, I wanted to also talk about a couple examples that I personally experienced through your customer service. And, you know, again, doing your day-to-day operations for collections and finding new tenants and all that, you guys got that down. You're the masters at it, hands down. But I also want to say that things don't always go well. So case in point, we had a tree fall on one of my properties. And when that happened, there was an insurance claim involved, and there was the repairs involved, and then there was one to make sure there wasn't a hole in the roof and it didn't damage so the tenant could still inhabit the property. You guys took all that. I was made aware of it, but again, it was still lights out, and you guys took care of the situation. And like I said, so even when you have these I'll call them anomalies, because that's the first, knock on wood, experience like that. But my brother had one of his houses have a fire. And one of the tenants, you know, again, the fire report, you know, they never determined the true cause. But I mean, again, so that house wasn't inhabitable for 6 months. And then with the insurance and everything, his rent was covered. And you guys took care of everything. And all I'm saying is, so when you have the unusual occurrences, you also take care of that to a very high level of performance, which that's the stuff that could really worry someone. Hey, if you burn a house down, you could be out of it, right? So I'm just saying, you've got to know what you're doing, and you've got the relationships. See, working in corporate 35 years, I had to have relationships with corporate clients, Fortune 500 companies. And I'm a relationship guy. I'm a relationship guy now in my real estate business here at home, but I'm a relationship guy with you folks. You guys are exactly, we just are in full alignment. My priorities, your integrity, your ethics. And that's, you know, that kind of sums it up. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
Well, thank you. And I'll I'll pile on that a little bit. I got two signs in my office here. I'm looking at one as the core values, and we always come back in this conference table I'm sitting at to number one, which is always do the right thing. When we sit in here and we have a decision to make about a resident or about an employee or about a vendor or about an investor, it always comes back to do the right thing. It may cost us a little bit of money, but it'll pay big, big dividends over and over again if you do the right thing, okay?
Yep.
And no matter whether it's $100 or $1,000, sometimes just do the right thing, and that will pay off for you in the long run. Then I got another little sign right here that says, learn the necessity of details. And that's one of the things that we talk about in our company, and that 2 or 3% that I mentioned earlier is all of those details that we want to do better than anybody else. We have a lot of videos like this where people tell us that they're really pleased with us, and I take great pride in all of that, and our great team, our family does, all the clothiers, in those type of compliments. But we know that we can get better, and we know that we can still do better, and we know that we expect to do better. And our team strives for that. They work on it. They realize that what we do pretty good, but we can still do better, and there's more there. And that'll always be the type of people that we have in our company. And that's what our family and our executive team and all the people that work for us, we just want to make your experience. And when I was in Hawaii, better. When I was in Hawaii, 3 or 4 years ago, we have about probably 30 clients in Hawaii now, maybe, that own maybe 100 or so properties. And none of them have ever been to the main. I think only a couple of them maybe been over here to see their properties. But I said, when you go to bed at night, you put your head down on the pillow. We got it. You don't have to worry about it. We're taking care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, our integrity, our credibility is more important to me than anything else. We just want to make sure that we bring value, a great experience. Our reputation is very important to us. We work on it every single day. And again, I know, and I'm not going to sit here and tell everybody on this call that we make everybody happy, because we don't. We have situations sometimes that we got to jump in the middle of and try to figure out how it's best for everybody. And those happen from time to time. But 99% of our customers are very happy with us, and we still want to do better than that. And so let me get your final thoughts here. And tied you guys up for about 30 or 45 minutes, but you guys have done great on here. It's been great listening to you and hearing the stories and reminiscing about old events and stuff. Lois, any final thoughts?
I'd say take the polar plunge. You're not going to be disappointed. I promise you. Just don't throw caution to the wind. Do your due diligence, but future investors, go for it.
Well, we thank you for that. Bob?
Just keep doing what you guys are doing. And you're right. I'd love to talk to any future investor that's considering it, because I was in their shoes, and I'd love to talk to anybody. Just tell them about the great experience, because it was scary, but you got to, like Lois said, take the plunge. And thank you for having me on the.
Well, thank you. And
yes, thank you.
I'll just add this one thing, and it's people like you guys that talk to people that call and the referrals and stuff. But every month we sell 60, 70 houses a month, and 50% of those houses every month are existing customers buying more houses.
Wow.
And
Yep.
that's the part that's we do some marketing. We get some new customers every month, and then they hopefully have a good experience and tell somebody else, and they start building their portfolio from 1 to 5 to 10 to whatever it is. I think today we have 360 people in the WOW group. We have another 70 that have 10 or more properties. So our clients continue to buy and use our platform and use our business to buy more houses and build their retirement. So that's a really, really big thing to me, that how many people continue to buy from us every single month. So, but again, on behalf of the family, it's our pleasure to serve you guys. You've been great investors, and awesome experience having you on here. And I thank you for your time this afternoon. I know you both are very busy, and we're very lucky to have both of you as clients, and it's our pleasure to serve you. And you guys have a great day and a great week.
Awesome. You as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.